Hello again, everybody, and roll tide. This is Roger Hoover. Glad to welcome you back to the Crimson Tide Sports Network, and welcome to this Thursday edition of Crimson Drive, driven by Tuscaloosa Toyota. Make sure you check them out online at TuscaloosaToyota.com. We're excited for today's show as we will first begin by going through all of our different headlines for today using the smart board that's been given to us by RJ Young. RJ Young is the official technology solutions provider of Crimson Drive. First, we'll take a look at what's coming up on the show today. We'll be joined first by the head baseball coach for the University of Alabama, Brad Bohannon, as he'll talk about the past weekend against Georgia, as well as looking ahead to what's coming up this weekend, really starting tonight against South Carolina in Columbia. So a head coach replay with Brad Bohannon. He joined us on our final episode this week for the school year of Hey Coach on Monday. Benedetta Moresco keeps picking up honor after honor, winning tournament after tournament. She's had a terrific season for Alabama women's golf, a team that is headed to an NCAA regional coming up. We'll hear more about that in a few moments, but Benedetta Moresco will talk about her success for the Alabama women's golf team. Then we'll be joined by Aaliyah, who is one of the newcomers to the Alabama women's basketball team as she transfers to Alabama from Illinois, where she led the Fighting Illini in scoring last year. So a really talented player joining Christy Curry's squad. Go through the rest of our headlines for today, starting with the Crimson Tide baseball team. Again, last weekend went 1-2 against 10th-ranked Georgia at Sewell Thomas Stadium, and it's amazing. Alabama really played well even throughout the first two losses on Friday and Saturday as the Bulldogs. Think about this. In 27 innings of the plate, Georgia only scored in 2 innings, but it was enough on Friday, enough on Saturday to win. Crimson Tide got the 3-0 shutout win on Sunday to claim the series finale. Then Tuesday, the Crimson Tide made it 2 victories in a row with a 9-3 win in Birmingham against Samford. We saw Dominic Temez plus Will Hodo homer in that ballgame for the Crimson Tide, and then Ben Hess, and really another solid midweek start for him as he picked up the victory on the mound. Now this weekend, it's a Thursday through Saturday series against the South Carolina Gamecocks. A really busy week for Alabama, kind of in a short time frame, but once the Saturday game is complete and that game starts at 11 a.m. Central, the Crimson Tide do not have a midweek game next week. They get to really rest up for what is coming up next weekend when the LSU Tigers are in town for what will be a Friday through Sunday series. Now taking a look at the Alabama softball team this past weekend, just like the baseball team, also lost its first 2 games of the series against Texas A&M before the Crimson Tide picked up a win on Sunday. And then the Crimson Tide after that had a tough loss on the road in a midweek contest at Western Kentucky in Bowling Green. 3-1 turned out to be the final score in that game. And it's kind of a quirk of the schedule. There isn't a game coming up this weekend for Alabama softball. So no games over the weekend. Time again to rest up and get set for what's going to be coming up the next weekend when Alabama's at home to wrap up the regular season with the Missouri Tigers. And then week after that, down to Gainesville for the SEC tournament. Week after that, hopefully in Tuscaloosa for an NCAA regional. Then you have super regionals and then the Women's College World Series. So very important softball coming up, even though there's not a game coming up this weekend for Alabama. Finally, across Crimson Tide Athletics, I mentioned women's golf. They have earned the number 2 seed in the NCAA Franklin Regional at the Home Golf Club of Vanderbilt, and that will be held May 9th through the 11th. So best of luck to McPotter's squad getting ready for that event, including Benedetta Moresco, who's been one of the top players this season for the Crimson Tide. We'll talk with her in a few moments. Then track and field, after hosting the Crimson Tide Invitational this past week in Tuscaloosa, a couple of weekly honors for Alabama. First up, Isaac Adubusan named the SEC Field Athlete of the Week as he won the shot put last weekend. And then Hillary Chariot was named the SEC Freshman of the Week as he posted the lowest score in the 1,500 meter race and was even the second best time all time at Alabama history behind Eliud Kipsang, we had on the show last week. So very good performance by Hillary Chariot of the Alabama Crimson Tide for that honor, SEC Freshman of the Week. Now we'll go into our show for today, starting with our Hey Coach replay as Brad Bohannon, the baseball coach for the Crimson Tide, was one of our guests on the final edition of Hey Coach earlier this week, and it was one of those weeks where we also had a video element to Hey Coach, so now we'll let you sit back and enjoy the conversation that we had with Alabama baseball head coach Brad Bohannon as he looks back to the Georgia series, kind of gives us a feeling for where this team is at this point in the season as we look forward to big games, even starting tonight with South Carolina. Here's Coach Bo.
Roll Tide, Coach Bo. How's everything going?
It's going great. Thanks, Roger.
Well, it was great to be back inside Sewell Thomas Stadium this past weekend as Alabama is now already 6 weekends deep into SEC play. Does this time of the year just start to fly by on you guys?
The season in general, just it really does fly by. And, that's one of the dynamics of our sport is we play all the time. Very common to play at least 4 days a week. So once you get in the middle of the grind of the season, it really does go fast. And when you're not playing well, it's nice to be able to get right back on the field quickly. When you do have a big win or a good stretch, you kind of want to enjoy it and you don't really have the time to enjoy it. But after being on the road twice on back-to-back weekends, it was great to get back home and to see our fans and to play at our ballpark.
Yeah, and taking a look back to the Ole Miss and Tennessee weekends, everyone talks about how tough a stretch that would be, going to places that had teams that had been number one ranked in the country. Ole Miss earlier in the year, Tennessee still number one in the country, but Alabama goes 4-2 during that stretch. What did you like about your play in those series?
We played really well over that stretch, and it's hard to win on the road in this league, and we're the only SEC team that's beat Tennessee. It's hard to sweep anybody. It's hard to win on the road, and to go on the road and get a sweep is huge. So really, I think what I saw over that stretch is we were pretty consistent, and, playing well doesn't mean that you're going to win. It just increases your odds. And we put together several games in a row where we played, our B+ or our A- game. And we got to continue to do that going forward if we want to finish the season the way that we all want to.
And for the Crimson Tide, they were able to have a good winning stretch, not only picking up those 4 wins out of the 6 games in SEC play, but you have a long winning streak followed by the longest losing streak we saw this season of 5 games. Just what was the biggest difference in between those 2 streaks?
Well, I don't think there's any shame in losing, 2 games at Tennessee, because everybody's doing that. And we lost the first 2 against Georgia, who's a top 15 team. So, there's so much of success in our league is catching teams at the right or wrong time and how the schedule lines up, just things that are outside of your control. So, I don't think we played that bad in that 5-game stretch that we lost. So, there's certainly, there are times we got to make a pitch or get a big hit that we didn't do in that period of time. But I keep telling the kids, just go play. And, if you've won 5 in a row, it doesn't mean it's going to be easy the next day. If you've lost, 3 or 4 in a row, you can't bring that to the ballpark the next day. You just got to go play and try to win pitches. And our kids have done a good job of that this year.
And one of those that really stands out from the Georgia series is Andrew Pinkney, especially in the Sunday ball game that Alabama won. He's able to collect a home run along with 3 hits, and he also showed off his arm once again in right field. Just it seems like everything has come together for him this season.
Yeah, Andrew's done really well for us this year, and really happy for him. Just like all of our kids, he's a great kid and a very diligent worker, and he just keeps getting better. And I think coaches love kids like Andrew, not just because of his intangibles, but he can do so many different things to help you win a game because he's so athletic and he's got a great arm. He can hit the ball over the fence. I mean, he's really, like a 5-tool player. So, you take a guy that maybe isn't athletic, who can't run, and like hitting's the only thing they can do, and if they don't hit, they really aren't doing anything to help you win. But even on the days where Andrew doesn't get a hit, he might make a diving catch or throw a runner out on a base or beat out a double play ball or score from first on a double. So he's the type of players that all the coaches are looking for.
Great performance by him in right field for Alabama on Sunday. And then on the mound, Grayson Hitt was able to get some really key outs for you, went 6 scoreless innings. What'd you like about that start?
Well, Grayson was awesome. And, 2 of the last 3 times out have been the best outings of his career, at Ole Miss. And then I don't think he pitched that poorly at Tennessee. And then obviously he was outstanding against Georgia. So, Grayson's a kid who has always had a lot of talent we've tried to invest in. And, his command is getting better as he's pitching regularly. So he did a great job yesterday throwing his slider for a strike. And as his fastball command continues to improve, he's going to keep getting really good results.
Speaking of the rotation for just a moment, Garrett Mcmillan, we talked about the great win he had against Ole Miss, and it seems to be in the first inning is maybe where he's a little bit vulnerable, but after that, he's been lights out for you. Just what is he giving you right now on that Friday night role?
Every young pitcher wants to be a Friday night starter, and what a lot of these young pitchers, they don't get is like, hey, if you're going to pitch on Friday night, you have to get to the 5th, 6th, 7th inning, and, you got to give us 90 whatever competitive pitches. And yes, we would all love for GMAC to get off to a better start. That's kind of been his Achilles heel, especially when we got into league play. But to his credit, the times he hasn't been sharp in the first, on the most part, has been able to pitch through some traffic and then really settle in and put up a bunch of zeros to give us a chance to either cut into the lead or get a lead. So he is a really competitive young man. He's an absolute warrior on the mound, and he's got some skill to go with it. And it feels really good when he's pitching, just because you know what you're going to get, and you know that when he leaves the game that you're going to have a chance to win it.
And Coach Bo, in the last segment, we talked about Andrew Pinkney and the great game on Sunday that he had in right field. A great performance at the plate, also throwing out a runner at third base from right field. He goes into the starting lineup at right field due to the fact that William Hameter was unavailable for the Sunday game. Just what can you tell us about how William is feeling after he had a really hard collision with the wall on Saturday?
Yeah, Hammy went after a ball that hit the top of the wall, and he kind of jammed his shoulder running into the ball, trying to make a great play. So, he tried to swing the bat on Sunday morning before the game, and, you could just tell that he wasn't going to be anywhere close to 100%. So certainly don't think it's anything, real serious or long-term. Probably going to sit him out on Tuesday and hopeful that he's available for South Carolina. Need to get another day or two closer to that South Carolina series, but that's what we're hoping for right now.
Got a feel for William. At times this year, he's been so locked in the plate and had to battle the foot injury that kept him out for over a month. And then even in this series, hits a home run against Georgia on Friday night and then has the injury on Saturday. Just we really are hoping that we can find a healthy stretch for him, because he has been one of your key bats in the lineup.
Yeah, Hammy's a great player, and he probably has the best true field of hit of all of our position players. If the game's on the line and you could pick one guy up to bat, I think we would all pick Hammy. So, and that's no disrespect to any of our other players, but he's just got a very simple, repeatable swing. He's very competitive. He sees the ball well. He's got really good hand-eye skills. So he's a great player, and you could see how our offense really took off once we got him back in the lineup. It really hurt us when he was out with a broken foot. So, he's been a little up and down since he's been back, and I don't think that's to be unexpected after you sit out for a month to have some ups and downs. But excited to get him back in there whenever he's ready, because he helps us win at a high level.
Well, we hate to talk about injuries, especially we heard that on the radio with you and Chris Stewart after the ball game yesterday after Alabama picked up the win. You're like, come on, Chris, don't bring this up. But we do have some injuries right now on the mound. Just kind of what's the latest in terms of the injury report for your pitching staff?
Well, we had the 4 surgery guys. 2 kids got hurt in high school, and 2 kids got hurt here last year. And, so that's Prelip and Eddington and Clark and Cade Woods. Those kids won't pitch this year. Hunter Hoops is going to be out probably the rest of the season or indefinitely. Antoine Jean is, you notice he hasn't pitched lately. He's dinged up, and we don't think it's anything long-term, but, hopeful to get him back at some point in the next week or two. I'm sure there's others that I'm forgetting about, but that's the nature of college baseball these days. We didn't have as many injuries when we didn't have as many pitchers that throw hard. And, it's really sad at all of the aces around the nation that are out this year, just in our conference, with Hunter Barco at Florida, Landon Sims at Mississippi State, Connor Prelip. Some of the premium kids are out, and it's a shame. But, you're just not supposed to throw the ball 96 miles an hour overhand at 20, 21 years old. And kids are so big and strong these days, and coaches are so smart, and so much information. The kids are developing at a really fast rate, and we're dinged up, but so is everybody else. And the positive of that is it provides opportunity, and we're really excited about some of our freshman arms like Ben Hess and Luke Holman and Hagan Banks and Braylon Myers, and they're going to get more opportunity, and we're excited about those guys, and we think they're ready for it.
Yeah, I was really impressed by Braylon Myers on Friday night. Came in, kept that game right where it needed to be. And it seems like Luke Holman, like you just mentioned, and maybe even Ben Hess, we'll get to see more on SEC weekends.
Absolutely. We only have 2 midweek games left this year. So, we need to win those. We haven't been very good on Tuesdays throughout the season. But, yeah, some of these freshmen are going to be put in some positions that they haven't been put in before. And, they'll certainly learn from it. And I think they're ready to help us win.
And when you look at the pitching staff as well, developing as the season goes along, just what can you tell us about the job that Jason Jackson does, not only physically with all the mechanics of pitching, but also the mental side of pitching? Because these high school pitchers a lot of times have had nothing but success, and now all of a sudden in the SEC, you may get hit a little harder than you ever have before. Just how does he manage this pitching staff in those type situations?
Roger, I can't say enough good things about Jason Jackson. He's an incredible coach. He's an even better person. He's very intelligent. He coaches all the kids individually. He's very conscientious, tremendous work ethic, communicates at a really high level, really connects with the kids. He recruits well. I just think he's an absolute rock star. And I mean that in all sincerity. So, probably I tell a lot of people this, the one time that I felt a bit overwhelmed, that I've had while I've had this job was hiring a pitching coach, because I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. And I was really surprised and overwhelmed at how many highly touted coaches had an interest in coming to Alabama. Talked to several people, several different candidates, and settled on JJ. Kind of made it easy for me, and absolutely got that one right. So he's a rock star. We're so thankful to have him here at Alabama. Our pitchers are very fortunate to have the opportunity to work with him, and he's fabulous. Ben Hess is going to start, and he's pitched really well for us this year. He's made some good strides. So excited to get him back out there. And we need to take some steps forward offensively. We had a hard time scoring this weekend. Don't want to take anything away from Georgia's pitching staff. They pitched us really well, but we need to get the bats going and get a win to get a good feeling going into Columbia.
Considering where he started this season with the offseason injury that had nothing to do with baseball, that kind of put him behind the 8 ball for his freshman year, just what have you made of his development over these last 2 months?
Well, he looks like a completely different guy than he did a month ago. And, I try to remind everyone as he rehabbed from taking time off over the winter and kind of got a late start. Most of our pitchers get to throw in 4 or 5 scrimmages before the first game of the year. Well, Ben, he really didn't get to do that, so a lot of his first 3 or 4 outings, we had to remind everyone, like, hey, this is like his January preseason work. So he's super talented. He's got a bazooka. He's very diligent. Baseball is important to him, and he's got a really bright career here at Alabama in professional baseball. So really pleased with the way he's coming along, and excited to see how he finishes the season.
That's coming up tomorrow. Alabama against Samford in one of the final midweek games for the Crimson Tide. They'll also be at Jacksonville State coming up next week. But then after that, Coach, it's the road trip to Columbia, South Carolina to take on the South Carolina Gamecocks. And road SEC series are always really tough, and that'll be no different coming up Thursday through Saturday against the Gamecocks.
Excited to be on national television Thursday night. I'm excited that we're in week 7 and every game is the biggest game of the year going forward. This is the best position that we've been in this deep into league play since I've been here. South Carolina has been in a lot of close games in league play. I'm sure all 3 games are going to be tight, and it's going to come down to who makes pitches out of the bullpen and who gets some big hits with runners on base. And hopefully we can do more of that this week in South Carolina.
Just what have you made of SEC baseball so far? You mentioned some of the different injuries we've seen. At times it feels like the hitting is ahead of the pitching. And then in the standings, Tennessee has kind of been the outlier so far, but then so many other teams are right there in great position. It seems like we could be headed for a very entertaining tournament coming up in Hoover at the end of May.
Yeah, entertaining for the fans and the media, very stressful for all the coaches unless you're in Knoxville. Tennessee's obviously in a different class, league of their own, and the rest of us. Maybe Arkansas is not too far behind them, but it looks like there's just a tremendous amount of parity in the league this year, which is not abnormal. Anybody can beat anybody, and we're going to be going in the last weekend, and there's going to be about 8 teams within a game or 2 of each other, and we're all going to be saying, oh, if we somehow sweep this weekend, we might host, and if we get swept, we might not get in the NCAA tournament, and that's what we all signed up for. So really happy and pleased that we're in the mix. Everything that we want lies in front of us, and we control our own destiny, and that's all you can ask for. And we need to finish the season strong. We got a big 4 weeks coming up, and starts on Tuesday. And if we want to be consistent with our play on the field, then our mindset's got to be consistent in our thoughts. And the kids have done a pretty good job of, they just go play, and we need to take care of business on Tuesday before we worry about South Carolina on Thursday.
How much did you enjoy the fan atmosphere that was created at Sewell Thomas Stadium over these last 3 games against Georgia? And you got to be happy as well that the LSU series as well as the Arkansas series are at home. You have tough road trips against South Carolina and Auburn, but at home you get LSU and Arkansas. That should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, our fans have been awesome in my time here, and that's across every sport. I mean, Alabama athletics just has tremendous support, and we really appreciate them. And to anybody that's out there listening, like, you guys make a difference. It is so hard to close games out on the road, especially when there's tremendous fan support. So the students in right field have just been amazing, and just really appreciate all of our fans to this point, and really hopeful they'll continue to come out our last two home SEC series against LSU and Arkansas, because we're going to need them and they help us win.
So a lot of big baseball coming up for the Alabama Crimson Tide. And just kind of as we wrap things up, again, Alabama's got a very busy stretch coming up this week against Samford and then South Carolina. When looking at the batting order, I know it may be different depending on the availability of William Hammiter, but are you hoping to find kind of that settled lineup at this point? Or we did see Andrew Pinkney slide up to the second spot, or just how do you kind of evaluate where the hitters need to go moving forward?
Yeah, I think you can tell that, there's about 10 guys that are pretty regular players for us at this point. And, I probably moved the batting order around more this deep in the season more than ever before. There's just a lot of interchangeable parts. There are days we get a lot more production out of 7 through 9 than we do 2 through 4. And, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but there's, we talked about parity within the conference. I think there's a lot of parity in our lineup, and really just trying to put guys that are in good spots and seeing it well, kind of put them together. And maybe if some guys are in a little bit of a funk, putting them down a little bit to let them catch their breath. But it's a puzzle with a lot of moving pieces, and we're always trying to find the right combination in the right order to help us score the most runs that particular day. And we don't always get it right. But we need to take some steps forward offensively. I think that's going to be a big key to how we finish.
Look forward to watching it and supporting you and the Crimson Tide baseball team moving forward. Coach Bohannon, just thank you for joining us on Hey Coach tonight and all throughout the season. Best of luck to you and the Crimson Tide. Thank you for joining us. Roll Tide.
All right. Thank you, Roger. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide to Coach Bohannon and the Crimson Tide baseball team. Once this show is done, it'll only be about 3 hours until Alabama takes on South Carolina tonight in Game 1 of the series in Columbia at 6 p.m. the next 2 nights. And, of course, on Saturday at 11 a.m. Central. We'll have all the coverage for you here on the network on radio coming up for Alabama against South Carolina. And then the Crimson Tide, after the Saturday game is done, won't play again until the next Friday when the LSU Tigers are in town on 6 p.m. on Friday night at Sewell Thomas Stadium for the start of a 3-game weekend series. So again, best of luck to the Crimson Tide baseball team. We've had some good news this week for the Crimson Tide women's golf team because they have been selected already to the NCAA Regional. That was announced that coming up May 9th through the 11th, they'll be in Franklin, Tennessee, just outside of Nashville for the NCAA Regional. And someone that's led the way for women's golf all season long has been Benedetta Moresco. She has, of course, won some events for the Crimson Tide, including the Ally last fall, and then has been playing well even in the Augusta National Women's Amateur. We talk about that experience, plus what's led to her being named the SEC Scholar Athlete of the Week. I think you'll enjoy this conversation with Benedetta Moresco of the Alabama women's golf team. Benedetta, Roll Tide. Congratulations on all the success you're having. What a year it's been for you with the Crimson Tide. How's everything going?
Thank you so much. It's been amazing. Really, like, the work we put this year was incredible, and it was such a good semester for all of us on the team. And also with these awards, Scholar Athlete of the Year, it was such a, I was blessed to have this award, and my parents always taught me that school is one of my priority in my life. So I'm really happy of how it's been, and I'm really, really happy.
Yeah, what can you tell us, first of all, about all the good work you've done in the classroom? What are you majoring in, and what do you want to do after your golf career is over?
So I'm majoring in nutrition, and I definitely want to go pro and play professional golf for as much as I can. And then my goal will be working with universities as a nutritionist and provide the athletes all they need to perform their best, and just provide all my knowledge and help them in their drive to success. Yeah.
Well, that's really exciting. And for you, last year, you were the SEC Freshman of the Year. What was the transition like, first of all, to playing golf in the United States, moving to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and then the results we saw for you in your freshman year?
So I'm from Italy. So from Europe, it was a big transition for me to come here. But I felt really welcome from my team, my coaches. So it was amazing. My process have been really good. Courses are really different back in Europe than here. So golf-wise, it was a big change, but it's been an incredible journey so far, and I'm really happy that I took this chance and all the opportunity this university is giving me.
What has your sister Angelica meant to you in your golf career?
She's like she's like an inspiration for me. She's incredible. We learned, like, we grew up together playing golf, so it's been like a rock for me, and everything I know comes from her. So she's like a point of reference for me, and yeah, she's incredible.
Well, it's really exciting. Both of you get to compete for the University of Alabama. And this past year, I mentioned before, some really good results for you, including a win at the Ally last fall. What can you tell us about that tournament and what you put together to be so successful that week?
It was a really good week. I mean, my golf game was like on point, and I shoot I think 9 under, 6 under, and 4 under, so really good scores. And the whole experience with the team was incredible. We won also the team competition, so it was a really good week. And also spending it with my team and my coaches there was incredible. And yeah, I would say it was a really good week, and we had a lot of fun on the course. Yeah.
Well, and Mick and Susan both seem like really great coaches, really inspire you guys to play at your best. What do they do that you like the most? How have they supported you throughout your career?
They're really supportive and motivational. So they gave us speech, they gave us drills to do on practice. So everything they do for us is really, really, really helpful. And I just love their like they want to win. They want us to grow. And this is very important for me. And all the support I receive from them, it's incredible. And I'm really looking forward to work with them the next year. And yeah, it's been really good.
Well, we've seen women's golf on center stage recently with the SEC championships where Alabama played well, but also taking a look at the Augusta National Women's Amateur, which you got to be part of the last couple of years. What was that experience like for you, including the final round played at Augusta National Golf Club?
It was pretty good. So last year I played, but I didn't make the cut. So I had that thing inside of me that I wanted to come back and do great. So this year was incredible. My coach from Italy was on the back, and we had a really good week. We played two rounds at Champions Retreat, which is the course next to Augusta, and I did pretty good in the first 2 days. And then the last round was just incredible with all the people following. My team was there, which made it like great. And then the last round was like a tour of emotions, and it's been really, really good.
Well,
Really.
it's such a great moment anytime any golfer loves to go to Augusta National. What was it like going down Magnolia Lane for the first time and then trying to calm your nerves and play your best golf, even though I'm sure you were excited just to be there?
Yeah, the atmosphere was incredible. Like I was really nervous on the first tee. I'm not gonna lie, with all the people and the crowd. And I mean, my coach on the back helped me a lot with like calming down my nerves. And it's just incredible because you're there and you think I'm playing in one of the courses where the history of golf was made. So it was just incredible. And like, yeah, like playing that course was was great. It's like a dream come true, I have to say it. And it was super good. Yeah.
Well, you shot a 71 at Augusta National, had a pair of birdies on, I believe, 15 and 16. What for you was the most difficult hole? Was it anything part of Amen Corner, or what'd you find most difficult at Augusta National?
I mean, I gotta say that every shot at Augusta is not easy. So definitely the greens were a big part, and the speed of the greens especially. So I started good. I had good birdie chances, but I didn't make it. So I had a couple bogeys in my first 9 holes. So I just try to be patient, because in a course like that, you gotta like take all the chances you can. And then I birdied 15 and 16, which were my favorite holes. And then I had a good finish with some pars on the last few holes. So it was really good.
Well, again, a great performance at Augusta National. And for you, even though the golf season's starting to wind down, we still have the NCAA championships coming up for this team. Just what do you hope to carry over from the SEC championships towards the final big tournament of the year?
Definitely the team environment we had at SECs was incredible. So just that team bonding, I think it's great, like to perform good in the last couple events. And I think tomorrow there's gonna be the selection. Today there's this selection show for where we're gonna play regionals, and then I hope we're gonna play good and just take all the chances we can to go to nationals and then have a great time there and play our best. So definitely the team environment and just like all the work we put in practice in this year and last year, it's gonna help a lot. So yeah.
Well, even when the Alabama season will be over coming up in a few weeks, you're going to have a very busy summer. We just learned that you're going to be part of the Arnold Palmer Cup international team playing in Geneva, Switzerland, coming up July 1st through the 3rd. I imagine that's just part of a very busy summer for you.
Yeah, my summer is gonna be really busy. Like I have a lot of tournaments, but definitely the Arnold Palmer Cup is one of my favorite events. It's gonna be the first year that I'm gonna play, and I'm really, really looking forward for that tournament. I've heard a lot and I follow a lot during the years, so I think that team bonding we'll have there and compete against the USA team is gonna be really fun. And yeah, it's gonna be like a good summer.
Do you plan on playing in once again the Italian ladies stroke play? You were able to win that tournament last year.
Right. Yes. So last year I won, and it was a really good tournament. I played good, and also like being back with my coaches and all the federation team and the girls from the national team is really good. So I'm looking forward to play that tournament again. It's gonna be the end of June, so I'm really looking forward for that. Yeah.
We're excited to keep up with your results with everything you have coming up. And for just a moment, as we start to wrap things up, let's talk about your game. When you're playing at your best, what are you doing well?
I'm definitely putting well. Like I have a good like pace on my putting. Like I managed to combine good speed and break, which is really fundamental on the golf course. And then I think when I play great, I just take all the fairways from the tee, which is really helpful, like to have spin on the ball in your approach shots. So definitely that. And just like when I play great, I just have fun on the course, like it's you have to have that part of you. So I think that like it's good a good combination, like to play well. Yeah.
You feel like there's a part of your game that's really improved since you got to Alabama, something Mick and Susan maybe have helped you out with over the last couple of years?
Definitely my chipping. So before coming here, my chipping was not really good. And here in the US, the greens are really fast. So I had like to adjust that, and my coaches helped me a lot with that. And they're still helping because there's always room to improve. So yeah, definitely that.
Well, Benedetta, good luck coming up in the NCAA regionals and the championships coming up, and everything you have coming up this summer. We just look forward to cheering you on and seeing the great results roll in. But thank you so much for joining us. Roll Tide.
Thank you so much. Roll Tide.
All the best to Benedetta and the Crimson Tide women's golf team in a couple of weeks at the NCAA Franklin Regional. We hope for another great year for Alabama women's golf. Well, as we get ready to wrap up the show, we wanted to visit first with a new member of the Crimson Tide women's basketball team. Over the last few weeks, we've been talking with a lot of the new members of the team, whether it's incoming freshman Carly Weathers or transfers like Ryan Cobbins or Sarah Ashley Barker. Another talented transfer that comes in to Christy Curry's roster is Aaliyah Nye from the University of Illinois, where she played 2 seasons for the Fighting Illini, including leading Illinois in scoring as a sophomore last year by averaging 12 points per game. So really experienced player coming to Alabama, and we wanted to take this opportunity to introduce you to Aaliyah Nye, one of the newest members of the Alabama women's basketball team. First of all, Aaliyah, welcome. Roll Tide. How's everything going?
Thank you. Roll Tide. It's going good. I'm just excited to get to campus in May. So, yeah.
Well, we look forward to having you here with the Crimson Tide and, of course, suiting up and playing this fall for Alabama. And let's just start with the decision to transfer from Illinois to Alabama. What went into the entire process for you?
I think just here at Illinois, we had a lot of issues like coaching changes, and I just want stability. And also my family, I'm closer with my family. My mom actually lives in Alabama and my sisters go to the university. So I think just being closer to home and being in a stable environment is just what I really wanted. So.
Well, you make the decision to transfer to Alabama. Who first reached out to you from the coaching staff? And then when they were talking to you about Alabama, what really stood out to you about what this program could do for you?
Actually, Coach Roman reached out to me, and he just was so real and truthful and honest. And I think he just didn't try to sugarcoat anything. He just said, look, we're looking to build this program, and you can be a key piece along with other pieces that we have coming in, and we can really turn this around and make it to the tournament. And that's what it's about. Like, you put all this hard work in to make it to the NCAA tournament. And I think that's what I really wanted as well. So he just kept it truthful with me and just said, we really want you, we really need you, and you can contribute here along with the players that we have. So I think trusting in Coach Christie and what she has, and also believing that we can do something great there.
Did you have an opportunity to come to campus? So you mentioned you did have some family here at the university, but did you make this decision kind of sight unseen, or were you able to get down here a little bit?
I've actually been to the campus a few times. Like I said, my sisters, they go to the university, but I also took a official visit and just toured the campus. And I already seen what it looked like before. It's a beautiful campus. So I just wanted to take it just to see the facilities and things like that, stuff that I hadn't seen. So.
Yeah. What did you like about it when you did get to go through your official visit? What stood out to you?
I think just like the campus, the environment, it's very, even just from being there, visiting my sisters, it's very like a live campus. It feels like happy to be there, like the warm weather. I think just the facilities that they have are like very great. So yeah, that's what stood out to me. I think just meeting the team as well. They were all super nice, and I can't wait to get to know them more. So yeah.
Well, what was the moment like when you finally did call Coach Curry and told her that Alabama indeed was your destination?
I kind of already had it in the back of my mind when I visited, and I just wanted to take some time. I was like, I don't know, like I really want to go there, but I don't want to make a decision right now. Like, so I think I kind of already had it in the back of my mind. And it's just always like a scary feeling, you know, you get like anxiety, anxious, but once I said it, I was just very happy and relieved, and I just couldn't wait to be there. Can't wait to be there. So yeah, I think I'll just be closer with my family and my sisters. And so I'm just really excited.
Well, exciting as well that not only you get to come to Alabama, but you're part of a group that's transferring in. Ryan Cobbins, who we visited with before on the show from North Dakota State, Sarah Ashley Barker from Georgia, and then Carly Weathers is coming in, an outstanding freshman. Is it exciting to be part of this new group that's joining a group that had some success last year, making a good run in the SEC tournament and the women's NIT?
Yeah, I think along with the pieces that we have coming in and the pieces that they have coming back, we can learn from them as well. And I think together we're going to be great. I feel like this team is going to be great and we're going to make a run, and I can't wait to make it with them. We have some great pieces, and I just can't wait to put it together.
Well, for you at Illinois, your sophomore season, you led the Fighting Illini in scoring at just over 12 points per game. And of course, 41% shooting as well from the field, 36% from long range. Just what can you tell us about your game? What kind of player are you?
I'm a player that is very disciplined. I like to be very coachable. I'm very coachable, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. I'm going to try to motivate my team, be a leader out there for my team. And I'm a shooter as well, so I like to shoot. And that's just a part of my game. Like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. I'm going to be very coachable in whatever Coach Christie needs me to do.
I mentioned you scored 12 points a game as a sophomore. Even as a freshman, you scored 8 points per game. What was that transition like going from high school basketball to all of a sudden you're playing in the Big Ten?
It was very, I'm not going to say it was easy, but I think with the team that I had my freshman year and people that I had with me, it was just very helpful because they were able to coach me up, and I just saw what they did, and I just followed them in their footsteps. And then my sophomore year, I was able to take in my own footsteps and be a leader for my team. So I think just putting in the work and knowing what I'm capable of doing was really helpful transitioning from high school to college.
Well, great 2 years, of course, playing for Illinois in the Big Ten. Now you get to join the SEC with Alabama coming up this year. And for you, we've talked about a lot of the basketball things. How about away from the court? What are you interested in? What's important to you off the floor?
I'm doing business marketing. That's what I'm majoring in. And it's a new major. I wanted to do engineering, but with being an athlete, that's very hard. So I chose business marketing. There's a lot of opportunities in that route, especially with technology and things like that, social media. So that's the route that I took. And things that are important to me is, like I said, my family. Like, I'm very excited that they get to come see me play more, because 6 hours away, like, it's hard for them to get up here, especially since my sisters are in school, my mom has jobs. So I think just my family is very important, and school is very important to me as well. And I know that's what Coach Christie really strives for, is she wants you to get your degree in 3 years and then get like a master's degree. So that was another big opportunity that I had coming there. So yeah.
Have you gotten used to saying Roll Tide over and over again?
Oh, I've said it a couple of times, even though I wasn't committed there, because I've always been an Alabama fan. So yeah, I always say Roll Tide, especially cheering for them in football. So yeah.
There you go. Well, you get to be at Bryant-Denny Stadium a lot coming up this year, right before the basketball season begins. And Aaliyah and I were just so excited you made the decision to transfer to Alabama, join this women's basketball program. Just thank you so much for joining us today on the Crimson Tide Sports Network, and Roll Tide.
Thank you for having me. Roll Tide.
Thanks to Aaliyah Nye for joining us, talking some Alabama women's basketball. Can't wait to have her on campus and playing for the Crimson Tide coming up this fall. Well, we're starting to wrap up the month of April. It's time to take a look at our weekend schedule here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Kind of an unusual week in terms of spring sports for the Crimson Tide Sports Network, with softball not having a weekend series. So this weekend, it's all about baseball, starting tonight against South Carolina Gamecocks at 6 p.m. and then Friday at 6 p.m. as well, Saturday at 11 a.m. and then that is it. Nothing coming up on Sunday. You'll also notice nothing coming up on Monday. Earlier this week, we had our final edition of Hey Coach, presented by Alpha Insurance for the school year. Now the show will be coming back on Thursday nights from Baumhauer's Victory Grill to start getting you ready for football season in mid-August. But no longer do we have a Hey Coach as part of the school year. Also Crimson Tide Today, the daily report, also wraps up this week, as well as including Tide TV This Week, also shot its final episode earlier today, but still have plenty of baseball and softball coverage coming up the next few weeks here on the network. And of course, we'll have more Crimson Drive driven by Tuscaloosa Toyota. Why don't you check them out at TuscaloosaToyota.com, as we'll still be doing this show once a week, Thursdays at 2 p.m. Central here on the network, even throughout the summer months until we take a 2-week break at the beginning of July. But we look forward to having you back with us next week as we'll continue talking Alabama athletics. Special thanks to our producer, Ethan Carabin, for putting the show together. Thanks as well to Aaliyah Nye, along with Benedetta Moresco, and then Brad Bohannon for his time as well, the baseball head coach of the Crimson Tide, getting us ready for this weekend series against South Carolina. For everybody with the Crimson Tide Sports Network, this is Roger Hoover saying thank you for watching, good afternoon, and Roll Tide.